Okay, hey Taty. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm so excited to be interviewing you today. We kind of took a little break with our Woman of Parable series, but we're so excited to start back up. And there is no one else I want to interview other than you. I'm so lucky that I get to call you friend, but you also are a mom, a new mom. You're an entrepreneur, you're a worship leader. You carry so many hats. And so I'm just so excited to dive in and ask you a couple questions today because I really think it's going to resonate with our
Oh,
network.
mhm.
So for those that don't know you, I'd love if you could just take a few moments to describe what it is that you do. What are those businesses that you run? What is your craft? What is your creativity? How long have you been a mom? Just give us a little intro into who you are.
Okay. So my name is Tatyana, and I am a new mom. Well, for my daughter is 18 months. But I'm saying as like I'm a new mom. I'm a first time mom. Let's say that. Yes, I'm a
Yes, you
first time
are
mom.
a new
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, but I'm thinking like the term new mom, like my baby was just born like a couple of weeks ago, whatever. But no, but I am a first time mom of my beautiful daughter. She is turning 18 months officially this week. Yes, I am a worship leader. Also serve with my husband. We're both worship leaders. As far as my occupation, I am also a makeup artist and licensed esthetician. I've been doing makeup professionally. I started in 2020. So it's been 6 years, going on 6 years actually this year. And I recently became a licensed esthetician in the past 2 years. I think a year and a half, 2 years now. So yeah, so that's my many hats.
Many, many hats. I love it. And it's been cool as your friend to watch you, like, wear hats even before you became a mother. You were creating music, worship leading, you were doing makeup, but then it was cool to watch you take on motherhood and see you kind of like how that changed you. And you still wear those hats, but maybe in new ways as you're learning. And that kind of ties into my first question that I had for you. A lot of our network are mom, but they are also creative, whether they're running a business or they're an artist or wherever they may be. How has becoming a mom really changed the way you lead worship or even approached your creativity in general?
Well, first I didn't even mention it in the intro, but thank you for inviting me.
Of
Um,
course.
um, as far as that, um, ooh, I would say in the worship aspect, when it comes to worship, um, I'm not trying to like think about myself when it comes to worship. I guess when it comes to leading worship, but when it comes to worship is a lifestyle thing. That's one. Worship is a lifestyle. How we carry ourselves, who we're also representing. We're representing, God, one God. So I guess when I think about motherhood and worship, now it's no longer about me. It's no longer about me and my husband. It's about our daughter. And it's not to say that, I should put my daughter before, everything else or whatever, but now I'm no longer only responsible for my marriage, but I'm also responsible for, a baby. I'm responsible for my daughter, or we're responsible for our daughter. So it's, how we live our lives, how we represent ourselves, how we carry ourselves, it can either make or break a cycle, for our kids. I don't know if you ever heard of the term like, generational curses or anything like that. But we'll not say let's not say generational curse. Let's say generational cycles, right? Generational cycles. So I guess how we as moms or as parents, I guess how we respond to our situations and what we're going through in life will impact our legacy, will impact generations to come. And it can impact them in a positive way or it can impact them in a negative way. So when it comes to motherhood and worship, I have to, speaking for myself, I have to now be cautious and be very sensitive to how I was before. I had to be extra sensitive to, being a covering for my daughter. Because there's a lot of things that goes on in this world, and it's crazy. You know how it is. we see on the news, we see on social media. So it's just a lot going on. So if our kids aren't covered, then we're literally setting them up for a disaster. So
Hmm.
that's, I guess, I hope I answered that
Yeah.
well. But yeah,
Good. And I love in the beginning that you mentioned like worship is a lifestyle too. And so I think
yeah,
it's more than just your daughter seeing you on the stage worshiping, but it's like
yeah,
how you're living your life and how that covering is not just, in the church setting, like I said, when you're on the stage, but it's living everyday life with her and covering her in like the lifestyle worship that you live.
hmm,
And I think that's beautiful. And that's, something that she sees every day. So yeah, I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not easy. It's
Yeah,
not easy. I mean,
yeah.
it's if I'm also speaking like also like, just being human too. Like, and some of us may not do it or, some of us may, but like speaking for myself again, like I don't always, pray every day. And I should. I should, also, cover my daughter and stuff like that. I always think about that. But 9 times out of 10, I don't always do it. And I
Mm,
should. But that's something that I thank God for just reminding me
mm,
daily that covering my child is very, very important.
mm,
Also to how I live my life, how I carry myself, and how I represent myself, or I mean, how I represent the body of Christ. That's what I meant to say. It's just important when it comes to just raising up a child. I don't always want her to see me being, feeling exhausted. Um, but I also don't want her to see me trying to be Miss Perfect either. I want her to know that it's okay to be human, but it's also okay to just, you know what, let's keep it going,
yeah,
and we don't have to, stay being exhausted or whatever. Yes.
yeah, I love that, and something else I wanna say kind of before we shift gears, but I
Uh-huh.
think something that I love that you do is you invite your daughter into your craft as well of worship and music.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you don't shy away from that, and so even when she was little, I remember seeing her, like, in the studio with you, or
Hmm.
you and your husband bring her on the stage with you, and just the lifestyle that you guys live of worship, and worship through music, right, is, like, one of the crafts in your creative that you've just been inviting her into that space even from a young age.
Yeah.
And seeing her just her own creativity be sparked because of who you guys are is
Hmm.
really cool as your friend to even watch, and so I think as creative people, sometimes, like, maybe we think kids will hold us back from that, but it's
Yeah.
cool how you've been able to almost empower your daughter to be a creative from birth, and she's already
Yeah.
kinda singing, and she's got her own giftings that you're already kinda finding out, and so I think that's
Mhm.
also a really cool part of it is that even for me, you guys are breaking the stereotypes of, like, "Hey, it can be difficult to be a parent, but you can also invite your child, like, into your giftings and your craft as well, and they can be inspired even from that age." So that's been cool to watch too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, like it's facts when they say kids pick up everything. They pay attention. They really do. It wasn't even intentional. Like my husband and I, like it wasn't intentional for us to be like, while I was pregnant, we're gonna bring her everywhere, this, that, and the third, whatever. It just happened naturally, you know? Yeah, it just happened naturally. We've noticed. I brought up to him and like while I was pregnant, I remember every time we were in service or at a worship night or even like sometimes at home, if we just want to, listen to soaking music, like my belly would just move. Not like, just whatever, but it would just like move and feel like to me, I felt a sense of like peace and
Mm,
calm, like with her while she was in my belly, which is
mm,
a crazy thing to say, but in a good way at the same time. I felt like I feel like she's gonna be a worshiper. And I didn't know she was gonna take the same, pathway as us, sing like us or whatever, or even just be a musician. We didn't know. But
yeah.
at the same time, we also strongly felt that she was gonna be a singer too.
Mhm.
But even when she was born, just, listening to soaking music and just worshiping, just also being with us, like you said, at studios and at church services and whatever, like she just picks up a lot. She would literally just be so calm and just alert whenever like we're just in worship,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what we've noticed. And that's why I just started to just, fall in love with her even it's just to see how well she just picks up on things like as a baby, especially to now, like now she's singing.
Mm.
She's singing, like she has a little pink microphone and
Mhm.
whatnot. So like we'll take her to rehearsal with us, and she will sing. She will learn songs, and she will pick it up real quick. Mind you, she is almost 18 months this week.
Mhm.
So for her to just pick it up like right then and there, like it continuously blows us out, like
Yeah.
literally. So yeah, it's amazing to see it. It's amazing to see it. But I definitely think that it's great to just have your kids be with you, you know, in your creativity.
Definitely. And in
Mm,
light of that, this is kind of like in light of that truth, this is also kind
mm,
of an interesting question, but motherhood is obviously also very busy and can be very stressful.
mhm.
And as someone that is a creative, you like we've been talking about, create music, you're a worship leader, you also are running, a makeup business, and you yourself as creative want to like pour into yourself, right? And your crafts. How do you feel like you protect your creativity in busy seasons of motherhood?
Ooh, I guess for that, I'm still learning. I'm learning as I go. Yeah, I'm learning as I go when it comes to, when it comes to that. I think for me, I think for now, like I can just say, I just show up. I think showing up does enough. It does more than enough. You showing up, it says a lot, and just push through. That's I mean, yeah, that's I mean, that's all I can say. I'm just learning as I go. It is a challenge. I'm not saying like parents like being a parent, being a spouse, and also being a business owner, just wearing many hats or even just wearing a few or even to one hat. Like it's not easy doing it all, especially while having a kid or even kids. Although it is a blessing to have kids, but it does come with a lot of challenges. But we just learn as we go, and we just learn how to just make things work. No matter how hard it can get or anything, but we just do our best to just make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's good. I love that. Just show up. Sometimes it's just being in the room. Or taking the opportunity, even though you are, maybe like stress, it's just still
Yeah.
showing up for yourself too. And that ultimately does kind of feed into what we just talked about, how it's like your daughter sees that, gets to see that as well. Like you choosing to show up too.
Yeah.
So I want to ask a little bit when it comes to you being in creative spaces. Have
Mhm.
you ever struggled with comparison at all in those spaces that you've been in? And how did you fight that? I think as creatives, it's really easy, and you're someone that is involved in a lot of things and you have a lot of experience. How have you kind of navigated that space of comparison as a creative person?
Oof. Yeah, and yes, yeah, I compare a lot. I still do. I still do. I think what helps me is having your circle with you. I think for me, that's what helps me. Trying to figure it out, like trying to, talk myself out of it. To be honest, like trying to talk myself out of it, it is hard. Especially, I also struggle with just, being an overthinker. I overthink a lot. So if I'm comparing myself with other people when it comes to being a mom, that's a thing. When it comes to just being a creative, when it comes to being a wife, when it comes to just being overall a human being, it happens. And it can be very hard to try to get out of it on your own.
Mm,
If I can just, speak for myself and if anybody, agrees. But what helps me out is just literally just trying to be upfront and honest with your friends, your spouses or anything like that. Like for me, I would talk to my friends. I would talk to my husband for the most part. And I'd be like, yo, like, am I tripping? Like this is like this is what I'm feeling. This is, I'm comparing myself to this, whatever. And he would literally just like keep me accountable and
mm,
just like, reassure me like, yo, like this is, you're doing too much. Not necessarily saying telling me like you're doing too much, but you're doing too much.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, but it's great to just have your circle. And if you don't have a circle, if you don't know who you have in your circle or whose your circle is or anything like that, try to find a circle,
Mm,
And it's okay to even have like 2 or 3 people in your circle. Me, I think having a smaller circle is better than having a huge circle. It's
mhm,
hard to keep up with so many people. So it's just better to just have a small circle. Like they say, like have like if like the first 5 people you can just call, just call on and to help you and vice versa. So I just feel like just having people in your corner, it just helps me, stay grounded.
Mm.
and just,
Yeah.
yeah, just stay grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love it, like, surrounding yourself with people that also, like, can bring you back to truth and protect you in
Right.
those times as well. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I think I also wanted to kind of in light of that motherhood, right? Creating, protecting ourselves. I think in light of comparison,
Mhm.
sometimes it's really easy. I'm sure I'm not a mom myself, but even as a mom, to kind of feel like maybe, even as women, I'll say, we go through different seasons where maybe some seasons feel less significant or we feel more hidden. And
Mhm.
we kind of compare and we look at other women who seem to maybe be creating on a bigger scale. They may have like more of a platform. How do you feel like if you were to give advice to women, how could women create still faithfully, right? Like even as a believer in a season that feels smaller, more hidden. Maybe it's like they're in the weeds of motherhood and they don't feel seen as much in what they're trying to create or what they feel like they're called to. What advice would you give them maybe from your own experience of how can you still be faithful in what God has gifted you even in the seasons that feel maybe busy or more hidden?
Yeah. I would definitely say purpose, like
Mm,
finding your purpose, knowing your purpose, trying your best to show up for yourself. Yeah, definitely trying your best to show up for yourself. I was in a season of just, comparing myself with other moms, comparing my baby with other babies. I would, question them like, "Oh, how'd you get your baby to do this, do that?" My baby's not doing this, and how my baby was born before yours, and and she's
mm,
not meeting these milestones, but your baby is. um and I didn't realize, and that was before I learned that, every baby's different. They reach milestones differently at a different pace at a different time. Doesn't mean your baby is delayed, or anything like that, or it doesn't mean that something's wrong, but everything happens at its own timing. And I have to, be grateful for timing and not try to strive for perfection.
mm,
Also just trying your best to just stay close to God. I think, um, you would think that, you find yourself or you find purpose when you're in your hiding place, and that's when you're in your isolated place or hiding place, if you want to call it. That's not where it is. Speaking from experience, being alone, especially when it comes to being a mom, or just anybody out there, who's not a parent, or even just a woman,
mm,
period. Like, it's not good to just be alone and to
mm,
try to handle it on your own. Because when it comes to doing that, like you end up, like when you find yourself in a lonely place, and you end up finding yourself like just slowly like pulling yourself away or pushing yourself away from God. And
mm,
I'm only just saying that, speaking for myself, speaking from my experience. The deeper I went to my hiding place, the darker the room got,
mm,
and it was hard for me. It was harder for me to see the presence of God. It was harder for me to just see the reality. It was harder for me to just see purpose. But I thank God for grace. I thank God for family. I thank God for also therapy. I just recently started, and I would also encourage moms, women, therapy. Like even like us growing up, like we're millennials, so growing up, our parents would just be like, "You don't need therapy," and
yep, it's true.
definitely do. So like, right. And so I'm grateful, and I thank God for just giving me the strength and the courage to just even to finally give it a try. And I'm starting to see that this is necessary. And it's not to say that we need to depend on man,
Mm,
but of course we need to depend on God, obviously, wholeheartedly. But we also do need to, have some people in our corner, or have a therapist, have somebody to like help guide us through, how we can heal from certain things, and like what steps to take and
mm,
whatnot. So I would just say, like, try to like stay close to God. If you're in your hiding place, even for like if you're in your hiding place, you're in it, try to be there for just a moment. Not a long one. Don't
mhm,
stay in there. Don't
mm,
don't stay don't stay there. I'm not saying that if you're feeling down, if you're in it, like just suck it up and then just move on. I'm not saying that at all.
mm,
Because we all need to, have a chance to just, just be human. It's okay to be human. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel down or anything like that. However, we don't have to stay there.
mm.
That's what I'm trying to get. Like, we don't have to stay there.
Yeah,
Um, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah.
So if, we can't just, remain, you know, in the middle of it,
Mhm.
thinking that, there's no light at the end, but there is. If we just keep walking, maybe we'll see it. But if
Yeah,
we just stand there and just, just wait for somebody to get us, we may not see it.
that's
So,
good. That's good. I feel like what I hear you saying in like multiple like questions in your answers is like showing up. Showing
mhm,
up for yourself, mainly for others and that will impact others. But whether that's in motherhood, kind of how we were talking earlier, or even how we're wrapping up of like showing up for yourself and then inviting other people into that and not staying
mhm,
isolated, not staying hidden. And so, whether that's obviously as a mother, like showing up for your kids, but also showing up for yourself, like how you're saying, going to that event that you booked, creating that thing that you've been thinking about. And even if it feels like a stretch sometimes, inviting other people into those spaces because like that matters.
mm,
And so I love that. And I think your life really shows that you have so much going on. But you continue to show up for yourself and for your daughter and those around you. And so, thank you for just taking some time to answer a couple questions just about like your process and what you're learning. And I think it's really going to be impactful for our community, who are a lot of women who create and a lot of mothers who have different roles and are running different things. And we're all
mhm.
just trying to kind of figure that out together. So,
Yeah,
thank
absolutely. And I'm glad that you guys are doing this too. And it's great to just, to see like, other women and mothers like coming together and to just literally just create and make a movement, make an
Mhm.
impact. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's amazing.